Here we go, live. Hey everybody, it's Jon Bon Jovi. Hanging out here at Island Records, our record company of the last 33 years. Happy to be here on my very first Facebook live chat, I guess. I'm going to answer some of your questions. Going to just ramble aimlessly, maybe you'll ask me some other ones. And so let's get it started. First one here is from Kathy Smershiniak. Kathy Smershiniak. Hi, Kath. Kathy asked me, what's the story behind the album cover? Our new album is called This House Is Not For Sale. Hopefully you've seen the imagery for it. I was thumbing through a magazine called Hampton's Magazine, and there was a picture in it of a proud stone house. The house was tired. It was in disrepair, and yet it had very deep roots. And as I looked at the imagery, it all came to me. I just thought of it as a song title. I thought of it as an album title. I kept the magazine. I researched the picture, and a beautiful, wonderful artist by the name of Jerry Ulisman took the photograph in 1980, thereabouts, and it was made, that image was created, the house no longer exists. It was done before Photoshop existed. So we did our homework and we contacted the artist, and I asked him if I could in fact make it an album cover, because when we wrote the song, I think it tells a story of who we are, where we are, what we're all about. And this is an inspired record about our integrity. This song speaks to me. I hope it speaks to you in some way, for those of you who've been following us all these years. But as the lyric says, this heart, this soul, this house is not for sale. So thanks for that, but that album cover inspired the rest of the record. Jenna Rhodes. Hi, Jenna. Jenna Rose asks, where's your favorite place to write music? That's a good question. It's a quiet place. Usually, not always, but usually, with an acoustic guitar somewhere perched in my lap, sometimes with my feet up on a desk or a tabletop, other times just sunken back into the couch. You sit there and you start to fool around, you noodle with what becomes a lyric, and the lyric is what inspires the feel of the song, and then you take it from there. But always, whether it was a collaboration or by myself, you start with a title, at least in my case. It's rarely, very rarely, that I've ever gone in the studio with the guys just to make noise, and then that turns into a song. Although a couple times in the last couple of years, John Shanks and I have gone in and co-written a couple songs that were from tracks that we created. But for the most part, it hasn't changed. It's still my bedroom. Okay, let's see. Kim Harp. Kim wants to know, was there a specific experience that inspired your philanthropy and charity work, such as the Soul Kitchens? How'd you come up with the idea for the Soul Kitchen? Well, thanks for that question, Kim. I've had the foundation, the Jon Bon Jovi Soul Foundation, for just over 10 years now. In fact, we're celebrating our 10th anniversary on October the 6th here in New York City, our first ever gala. But when the foundation began, it was under the guise of owning a sports team. When I used to own the Philadelphia Soul, we were trying to differentiate ourselves from other sports teams, and we realized that if we were more philanthropic than anyone else in town, we could differentiate ourselves from the big four. And so before we played it down, before we sold a ticket, my partner and I put in a sizable amount of money and gave it to 4 charities. After a couple of years of playing Robin Hood and finding very worthy but varied charities, one night in Philadelphia, I was looking out the window of a hotel, and I saw a homeless man sleeping on a grate in front of the city hall. And the first thing that came to my mind is, this isn't what our founding fathers were thinking of when they were writing the Declaration of Independence, right there in the midst of Philadelphia. And it all came to me that as a specific charity that didn't need a scientist to find the cure, the homeless issue was something that we could help make a small dent in. So, as luck would have it, I met Sister Mary Scullion, who is an expert in the field. And upon beginning the Soul Foundation, we had the guidance of one of the greats, and my dear friend and now board member, Sister Mary. And out of that, and we've built 500 units of houses and apartments for those who are in need, came the concept that Dorothea developed, and it was the Soul Kitchens. And in the economic downturn here in America, it was her who one night while we were watching the news said, this is the next phase of the foundation, and it was to feed the hungry. And this is when I really realized we didn't need a scientist to find the cure. All we needed was a little bit of sweat equity and a plan. And so we started the concept as a test in a church basement, went from there to a soup kitchen, and then presently to what is our first location and now subsequently our second. So the Soul Kitchen has just surpassed its 50,000th meal, and with the 2 kitchens and the 500 homes, we celebrate our 10th anniversary. So thanks a lot for that, Kim. All right, let's see. Wow. All right, Jade Chapman. Hi, Jade. Jade asks, how do you continue to find such great, important, and inspirational topics and themes to write about? Your lyrics and your songs throughout your career continue to provide comfort, hope, and enjoyment for so many. I wonder how you continue to produce these themes and topics for your song lyrics. Well, Jade, interestingly enough, the songwriting has evolved over the years. I wouldn't say that, there was a great depth to the lyrical content of You Give Love a Bad Name, but as the co-writer of that song, we were having a great time. I was 25 years old, and that was the life I was living. Well, at 54, I wasn't going to pretend to rewrite You Give Love a Bad Name. And as you evolve as a writer and you grow as a man, any day you look around, there's an opportunity to write a song. Whether you're reading a paper or a magazine, whether you're living your own personal life or you're viewing someone else's, there's always an opportunity to capture the moment and write it down. And throughout my career, there have been milestones that have been marked with a song. This House Is Not For Sale is just the latest example of that. And like I said, it really talks about the band and the band's integrity and what we've been through and where we're going. There's a lot of that on this record. And the magic is, sometimes you write a song or you co-write a song, which is, both in my case. The stories touch your lives, and then those characters become you. And the magic of it, when we would collaborate on a song, for instance, is it wouldn't have been Richie's story or my story, or in the case of writing a song even with Desmond, it wasn't his story, it was our story. And in turn, it became your story, and those lyrics became you. And Tommy and Gina, they live on for 2 generations now and 3 decades, because those are stories about you. Thank you. Let's see now. Tatiana Cariel, what inspired you to create the This House Is Not For Sale album songs? Well, I think I just answered that. Tatiana, that living life. I've been through a lot in these last 3 years. It hasn't been easy. It's been a difficult period. But out of great pain comes great art. And in truth, every dead end street that you hit, every bump in the road, just leads you to another opportunity to write a chapter in your life. And so this song, it addresses that, but a lot of this record is inspired by the life that we're living. So let me see, what else is the next one? I've been having a little fun lately going around. If you go on bonjovi.com, which is now up and running again, so please come and visit bonjovi.com. I put a camera in anyone's hand, in everyone's hand, and said, take a picture of your house that's not for sale. And I post this as a challenge to y'all. I have stood out in front of sandcastles and stadiums, in houses in disrepair, and in places that are like Cuba. And we've taken pictures, and Tico's done the same, and David has done the same, and Phil and Hugh are doing the same. So there's a stamp that you can apply to your picture of your house that's not for sale on bonjovi.com. Go there, add a picture to mine. Let's see if we can have a little fun with this. Somebody go and take a picture in front of the doghouse, because I know some of you guys are in the doghouse. It's Friday. Be creative. Do something. Go to your high school football game tonight and take a picture at your high school. Let's have some fun with this. And the more you do, the more we'll do, the more I'll do. And you know how much I like social media. So I'll do it if you do it. Go to bonjovi.com, get the stamp, take a picture of your house that's not for sale. Let me find a couple of others. I'm hearing hello from India. If you had life to do over, would you take a path that life has taken you? That's a good question. Would I take the path over again? Yeah, I would. And I was always the kind of guy that never wanted to be a could have done that, should have done that, would have done that. And there's a song on this record called Born Again Tomorrow that eventually you guys are going to hear. Born Again Tomorrow addresses just that. It says, if you could do it all again, would you? Is there any pages in your book that you would rip out? And I answer the question and by saying, would I do it all again? Yeah, I would. Reading some questions here. Here's one. Brenda Gagnon. Hi, Brenda. She asks, how many passports have you filled? That's a very good question. I got my first passport in 1983. So I think I've filled 3 of them. They used to give you an extension of pages. Mine was very thick. But I think I've filled 3 different ones now. Let's see. Teresa Wiley, what's your favorite album? Every time I make an album, it's your favorite album. It's the best record you could make at that time. The question, I think, would be, which ones stand the test of time? And with that in mind, I guess we'll always be remembered for Slippery. I think that Crush obviously was a rebirth for the band. And I do hope that that This House Is Not For Sale will live up to that. But I think if you liked Have a Nice Day, and if you liked These Days, I think you're going to love This House Is Not For Sale. Let's see. Yo, man, nice to see you in Sweden. Love you. Okay. Love you too. Looking at some more questions here. Here's one from Monique Van Gastel. Where did you give your best performance? That's a tough one, Monique. We've had a lot of them over the years, a lot of them. The ones that come to mind, there have been legendary ones at Giant Stadium, and when we opened MetLife, to this day, nobody's played MetLife Stadium more than Bon Jovi. I intend to try to keep that record, so it's up to you guys to continue to support us at home. The most famous show that comes to mind is Dublin. I was in Dublin this summer for a couple of days, and people still talk about the infamous Rain show when I summoned the angels from heaven. And as I was talking on the microphone about a sold-out show, and the angels are crying, and that's why it's raining, and just as I was being blasphemous, the biggest bolt of lightning went off, and the thunder clapped, and I fell to my knees out of fear, and I climbed up the microphone stand, and I said into the mic, who knew that you Irish were so powerful? And people still talk about that. That was one of the great nights in our career ever. There was a lot of them even on the last tour. We really had to rally as a band, and everybody helped each other through a very difficult time. But in doing so, I remember many momentous occasions, whether it was MetLife or Los Angeles, whether it was Toronto or South Africa. There were some real milestones for me on the What About Now tour. Let's see. Mike Moore wants to know, who are your musical influences? That's a good question, Mike, but they're varied. It depends on what you're looking for. If you're asking about a songwriter, well, then the obvious for me are always going to be Cohen and Paul Simon. It's going to be Tom Waits. It's going to be because of their storytelling, because of their lyrical contents. For energy and you look to the great rock bands that came before you. As a front man, I couldn't help, always give a shout out to the Stones and to Mick Jagger. I would never miss a Stones tour that went by. I'd never miss a U2 tour that goes by. I love U2. I love Bono. As frontmen, I love Bono as a singer. The E Street Band growing up were a huge influence. Some of the great, stories of my youth, it's a long time ago now, but those great albums of the late 70s and early 80s, that showmanship was second to none. And the key to it all is songs that stand the test of time. I've been lucky enough over the years to have gotten to actually know Sir Paul McCartney. And he sings a Beatles song, and you just think, where did that magic come from? And how is it that you can still sing them all today and look that great and still be as generous a storyteller as he is, and a great guy? So none of us would be doing any of this without the Beatles. Sorry, guys, your technologically challenged lead singer hit the wrong button. So anyhow, the folks here at the company are telling me that I'm done. I'm being cut off. I just want to thank you all very much for taking time out of your office hours today. Your bosses are not going to be very happy, but thanks for coming to visit with me. And I hope you like the album. And if we're lucky, we'll see you out on tour. And until then, see ya.